This meeting is being recorded.
All right, all praises to the Most High. Can everyone see the screen? Can everyone see the screen?
I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. The screen.
All right, let me share the screen with you because I don't think everyone can see the screen what I'm looking at. Now my screen. Okay, my shared screen. Can everyone see it?
Yeah, I see it.
No, I don't see it.
Okay. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus. Don't see it?
Which book?
The book of Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus Rock 44 and verses 1 through 4.
Ecclesiasticus 44, verses 1 through 4. Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begat us. The Most High have wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning.
So let us give honor. Let us give honor. Let us give esteem to these great men that the Most High has given us, and have wrought great power in the midst of our people, such as our dear brother Simon and all of those brothers who the Most High has used to lead or to bring about a great change, those famous men within our nation. The things that he have done in the past is the things that he will do in the future. Let's finish out the script.
Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies, leaders of the people by their counsels, and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people, wise and eloquent are their instructions.
Wise and elegant are the instructions. So these men are men that bared rule. These men that gave understanding. These men are men that declared prophecies. These men are men that had knowledge of learning and had wisdom and was eloquent in their instructions. Let's go to Daniel 11 and 31. Daniel 11 and 31. I want verses 31 and 32.
Yo, I still can't see the screen.
Daniel 11, 31 and 32.
Brother Keon, you're looking at, you should be able to share, so you should be able to see it. I don't know why you're not able to see it though.
It just say has started screen sharing. It's not showing it though.
Yeah, I can't see it either.
I can't see it either.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me go out and I'll share with you guys again. Hold on a second. How about now?
Still can't see it.
That's wild
I
right
can see it
there.
now. I can see it now. I can see it now.
See it now too.
It should be up for everyone now. Well, Brother Keon, I don't know what kind of device you might be on, but if you
Keon said he could see it.
swipe to the left, I don't know if it's a
I can
touch
see it
screen.
now.
He can see it.
I can
Oh,
see it
okay,
now.
okay, cool. All right, good. All right, everyone can see it. Good, it's up. Let's get Daniel 11 and 31 through 32.
Daniel 11, 31 and 32. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh death desolate. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that know Yah shall be strong and do exploits.
So this is the prophecy about what we're going into. Daniel was saying that the people that make desolation, which are the Greeks, that are going to come in and oppress and going to oppress our forefathers, he said that the people are going to know their Yah, and they're going to be strong, and they're going to do exploits. They're going to do exploits. So on the 23rd day of the second month, we are remembering the trials and the victories of our brother Simon. So first, let's go to the history, and then we'll go to the breakdowns. Let's go to First Maccabees 2 and 1. Who is Simon? Who is this famous man? Who is this famous man that the Bible is speaking of? First Maccabees 2 and 1.
First Maccabees 2, verse 1. In those days arose Matthias, the son of Simon, a priest of the son of Jorib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had five sons.
They dwelt in Modin. Hold on a sec. They might have a delay with the screen, but bringing it up now. This is the oldest map I could find. It's from the 1870s, but it was the oldest one of that generalized area in which the Maccabees lived. This is an old map of Israel. If you please mute yourself while I'm speaking, everybody mute yourself, because I'm getting some type of feedback or something. So this is the oldest map I could find of Modin within the land of Israel. It's from like 1870 or something like that, and you can look it up. Modin, M-O-D-I-I-N, and you'll probably be able to find it. But Modin is derives from the village of Modium of the high priest Matthias and his 5 sons, which was located in the same area as the modern city. They're still named that today. The name of Maccabees is Hebrew for Maccabees and is a common nickname given to Mattathias and his 5 sons. So the Maccabees, which were the warrior priests who lived in this region. This is basically where they lived, and we're going into the history right now. So let's get it again. First Maccabees 2:1.
First Maccabees 2, verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the son of Jorid, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin.
They dwelt in Modin. That's where they live. Verse 2.
And he had 5 sons.
Mm-hmm.
Jonan, called Caddis, Simon called Thasai,
Simon was called Thasai. Come on.
Judas, who was called Maccabeus,
Mm-hmm.
and called Avaron, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphus, or Aphus. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, "Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see the misery of my people and of the whole city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers."
So Mattathias is saying, "Woe is me! I lived long enough to see the fall of Jerusalem and it being delivered in the hand of these Grecians." So drop down to verse 64. 2 and 64.
First Maccabees 2, verse 64. Wherefore ye, my sons, be valiant and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it shall you obtain glory.
So he's saying, listen, my sons. This is Mattathias is getting ready to die. He said, listen, my sons, be valiant for the law, whereby it, give your life for it, and you're going to obtain glory. Let's get a precept. Let's get Deuteronomy 4:1. Because we ought to take the same attitude as our forefathers. That's why order is so important. Well, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans don't understand order. We must have order because it creates structure and stability. If you don't have order, it's unstable, and a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let's get Deuteronomy 4:1.
Deuteronomy 4, verse 1. Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which the Most High Yah of your fathers giveth you.
So if you're going to go in and you're going to take possession of something, if you're going to take possession of something, you have to live for the law and have order and structure and stability. Let's go to Deuteronomy 4:6. Go to verse 6.
Deuteronomy 4, verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your
This is
understanding.
your what? This is your what?
This is your wisdom and your
This is your wisdom.
and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Surely this people are wise and understanding people. When you take on your laws, when you take on the spirit of our forefathers who fought, lived, and died for the laws of the Most High. When you take on adopt that same spirit, then in the sight of the other nations, they will say, surely this is a wise and understanding people. When you come out of yourself, because when you put yourself in it, then that's when people will say, well, I don't know what this joker talking about. You and yourself. But if you put the Most High before you, then that's when the glory of the Most High will be upon you. All right. Let's go to Let's go back to first Maccabees 2. What do we start off with? 64. Go to 65. Matter of fact, start at 64 again, and then we just go to 64, 65, on down to 68, I believe. Yeah.
First Maccabees 2 and 64. Wherefore, ye my sons, be valiant and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it ye shall obtain glory.
Come on.
Behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always.
So Mattathias is talking about the spirit of his sons. And we won't go through all 5, but we're only going to go through 2 because it's only 2 that we're going to talk about today. So he's talking about Simon, and he says Simon is a man of counsel. He's a man of wisdom. Simon is a man of wisdom. He's telling his brothers, listen to Simon because he's wise. He understands which one of his sons are fighters, which ones is wise, which ones have understanding, which ones give counsel. He knows his boys. So he said, hey, listen to Simon and give your ear always to Simon because he gives good counsel. Come on.
Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you.
Mm-hmm.
For Judas Maccabees, he hath been mighty and strong, even from his youth up. Let him be your captain and fight the battle of the people. Take also unto you all those that observe the law, and avenge ye the wrong of your people.
And avenge the wrong of your people. Come on. Watch this.
Recompense fully the heathen.
Mm-hmm.
And heed to the commandment of the law.
Recompense fully. This is what Mattathias is teaching his boys. Recompense the heathen. Recompense the heathen and take heed to the commandments and the laws. Right now, brothers and sisters, we are not in a physical battle, but we're in a spiritual one. We're not in a physical battle. Nobody's going out here saying blow up nothing, shoot up anything. We're not saying any of that. We're not in that kind of fight. We're in a spiritual battle for the hearts and the minds of the people. And in some cases, that's far worse than a physical battle. Because you have to search the heart, and who can know it? It takes the spirit to know the heart. Let's get Ephesians 6 and 12. Ephesians 6 and 12.
Ephesians 6, verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Yeah, spiritual wickedness in high places. These are demons that has to be fought. And you don't readily see what you're fighting because you have to be in the spirit in order to fight them. So right now, we're not in a physical fight. We're in a spiritual battle. Take heed to that. All right. Now let's go to where we see what happened with Simon and why we are keeping this particular day in remembrance. Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 13.
And what? Start at 1?
Yeah, we're going to start at verse 1. Give me verses 1 and 2.
First Maccabees 13, 1 and 2. Now when Simon heard that Tryphon had gathered together a great host to invade the land of Judea and destroy it, and saw the people was in great trembling and fear, he went up to Jerusalem and gathered the people together.
And gathered the people together. So Simon went and gathered the people together. Could you let the brother in? Thank you. He went and gathered the people together. All right. So Simon exhorted the people by reminding them of the great acts that they have done for the laws and for the sanctuary. Let's go to verse 3.
And gave them
3
example,
to 6.
saying, Ye yourselves know what great things I and my brethren and my father's house have done for the laws and the sanctuary, the battle and troubles which we have seen.
Uh-huh.
By reason whereof, whereof all my brethren are slain for Israel's sake, and I am left alone.
And so all 4 of his brothers have been dealt with. Jonathan, not yet, but we're gonna soon see he met his demise in this chapter. But all of his brothers had either been killed or captured fighting battles for the children of Israel, doing exactly what his father said on his deathbed to his brothers, to him and his brothers. Verse 5.
Now therefore be it far from me that I should spare mine own life in any time of trouble, for I am better than my brethren. Doubtless I will avenge my nation and the sanctuary and our wives and our children, for all are gathered to destroy us of very malice.
Oh, very malice. All right, let's go to no, let's just continue to read on verse 7. Let's go to verse 7.
Now, as soon as the people heard these words, their spirit revived. They answered with a loud voice, saying, Thou shalt be our leader instead of Judas and Jonathan thy brother.
So Judas is dead at this point, and Jonathan is captured at this point. Read on.
Fight thou our battles, and whatsoever thou commandest us, that we will do. So then he gathered together all the men of war and made haste to finish the walls of Jerusalem, and he fortified.
So he fenced the wall of the city, meaning he fenced the walls of the city, meaning he fortified the city. He fortified the city. Verse 10. Was we on verse 10?
That was 10.
Yeah, verse 10.
That was 10. We finished.
Oh, was it?
And he
verse 11.
And he sent Jonathan, the son of Absalom, and with him a great power to Joppa, who casting out them that were therein remained there in it. So Tryphon removed from Ptolemais with a great power to invade the land of Judea, and Jonathan was with him in war.
So remember, I told you Jonathan wasn't dead yet. He was locked up. He was in jail. He was in jail. They had him captured. He was a prisoner of war. Come on.
But Simon pitched his tents in Adidah over against the plain. Now,
so it was at this point that Simon and it was at this point that Simon knew his brother was in ward, right? He knew he was locked up, and he knew that Jonathan was done for. So he wasn't expecting. That's why he said, I myself am alone. He wasn't expecting Jonathan to make it out of this, because he knew that the heathen was going to kill him. At this point, they're just using him to keep Simon and the armies of Israel back. He said, because the people, the armies of Israel, they loved Jonathan. They loved him, and they wanted him back, but Simon knew that they wasn't going to get him back. Let's read on.
Now, when Tryphon knew that Simon was risen up instead of his brother Jonathan, and meant to join battle with him, he sent messengers unto him, saying, Whereas we have Jonathan thy brother in hold, it is for money that he is owing unto the king's treasure, concerning the business that was committed unto him. Wherefore now send 100 talents of silver and 2 of his sons for hostages, that when he is at liberty, he may not revolt from us, and we will let him go. Hereupon Simon, albeit he perceived that they spoke deceitfully unto him, yet sent he the money and the children, lest peradventure he should procure to himself great hatred of the people, who might have said, because I sent him, excuse me, because I sent him not the money and the children, therefore is Jonathan dead.
Hmm.
And he sent
So he didn't want the children of Israel because they loved Jonathan, because Jonathan had fought a great many awards for the children of Israel, and he won. He was their captain, right? So he didn't want them to say, because he knew the sons of Jonathan that he wasn't going to get the boys back, and he wasn't going to get Jonathan back, and the money was gone. He already knew that. He already knew what was happening. So he wasn't, he said, but if I don't send it, the people are gonna say that I let my brother die. Right. So he sent it on anyway. As a matter of fact, hold on. Let's go. Let me get another slide so I can go to the book of Josephus right quick. Because it speaks to this same story. This is the book the works of Josephus here. Inside the book is book 13, chapter 6, sections 3 and 4. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so we can get a good read on it. Here we go. Section 3, the book of Josephus, the works of Josephus. And it reads, we have section 3 here. It reads, but when the people of Jerusalem heard that Jonathan was taken and that the soldiers who were with him were destroyed, they deplored his sad fate. And there was earnest inquiry made about him by everybody. And a great and just fear fell upon them and made them sad. Lest now they were deprived of their courage and conduct of Jonathan. The nations about them should bear them ill will. And as they were before quiet on account of Jonathan, they should now rise up against him, and by making war with him, should force them into the uttermost dangers. And indeed, what they suspect really befell them. For when those nations heard the death of Jonathan, they began to make war with the Jews, as now destitute of a governor. Tryphon himself got an army together and had an intention to go up to Judea and make war against the inhabitants. But when Simon saw that the people of Jerusalem were terrified at the circumstances they were in, he desired to make a speech to them, and thereby to render, them more resolute to the opposing Tryphon when he should come against them. He then called the people together into the temple, and thence began to encourage them. O my countrymen, you are not ignorant that our father, myself, and my brethren have ventured to hazard our lives, and that willingly for recovery of your liberty, since I have therefore such plenty of examples before me, and we of our family have determined with ourselves to die, watch this, for our laws and our divine worship and for our faith. We should know terror be so great as to banish the resolution from our souls, nor to introduce in the place a love of life, and a contempt of glory. But you therefore follow me with alacrity, which it means with much haste, or with vigor. Whithersoever I shall lead you, as not destitute of such a captain as in willing to suffer and to do the great things for you. For neither I better than my brethren, than I should be sparing of my own life. So he said, hey, listen, I'm no better than my brothers. I'll give my life as well. Nor so far worse than they as to avoid and refuse what they thought the most honorable of all things. I mean to undergo death for our laws. Get the spirit on this brother here. He said, I mean to undergo death for our law, for your laws, and for that worship of Yah, which is peculiar to you. I will therefore give such proper demand, our proper demonstrations, as well as show that I am their own brother, that I am so bold as to accept that I shall avenge their blood upon our enemies and deliver you all with your wives and children for the injuries they intend against you, and with Yah's assistance to preserve your temple from destruction by them. For I see that these nations have you in contempt, and being without a governor, and that they thence are encouraged to make war against you. Section 4. Section 4, I'm going to do the first paragraph. By this speech of Simon, he inspired the multitude with courage, and as they had before been dispirited through fear, they were now raised to a good hope of better things, and so much that the whole multitude of the people cried out all at once that Simon should be leader, and instead of Judas and Jonathan, his brethren, because Judas was dead and Jonathan was in war, he should have the government over them. And they promised that they would readily obey whatsoever he should command them. All praises. All praises. The works of Maccabee, the works of Josephus, the Antiquities of the Jews, Book 13, chapter 6, section 3, section 4. All right, let's get back to the scripture. Back to the scripture.
You went back to Maccabees?
Yeah, but I don't know where, I forget where we was.
We're at 19 now.
Okay, we're at 10.
You're 19.
Okay, go ahead.
So he sent them the children and the 100 talents. Howbeit Tryphon dissembled, neither would he let Jonathan go. And after this came Tryphon to invade the land and destroy it, going round about by the way that leadeth unto Adara. But Simon and his host marched against him in every place, wheresoever he went.
He wouldn't let Tryphon get away. Wherever he went, Tryphon said, man, wherever I am, this dude finds me. And he's making war with him. Wherever he's at, Simon is fighting him. Come on.
Now they that were in the tower sent messengers unto Tryphon, to the end that he should hasten his coming unto them by the wilderness, and send them victuals.
And send them victuals. Send them food. Send them food. Come on.
Wherefore Tryphon made ready all the horsemen to come that night, but there fell a very great snow, by reason he came not. So he departed and came into the country of Gilead. And when he came near to Bascoma, he slew Jonathan, who was buried there.
So he wasn't going to let Jonathan go anyway. He killed Jonathan in Bascoma. Come on.
Afterwards, Tryphon returned and went into his own land. Then sent Simon and took the bones of Jonathan, his brother, and buried them in Modin, the city of his father.
So we just seen a map of Modin and in the previous slide. Read on.
And all Israel made great lamentation for him and bewailed him many days. Simon also built a monument upon the sepulchre of his father and his brethren, and raised it to the site with hewn stone behind and before.
So behind and before being the monument, he wrote like a headstone was written in front and in back of it. Come on.
Moreover, he set up 7 pyramids, one against another, for his father and his mother, and his 4 brethren.
And his 4 brothers. So he set up 7 pyramids. Pyramids, even the pyramids that's in Egypt, that technology came from the children of Israel. They were our burial mounds. So when the Egyptians had us in captivity, they made us build these pyramids in order to put their kings in these burial mounds. These are actually tombs. So this is what Simon, he made 7 tombs for his family. He made 7 tombs, and let me get the next slide. This is an archaeological dig of the site in Modin. Where they were. So how many of you all remember the movie with Harrison Ford? He did several of them. It was a series of them. He did one with the Lost Ark, the Lost Grail, and do y'all remember all these movies?
Yeah.
What was that? What was it called?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is where they got those movies from. Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is where they got them from. We're gonna read on. They read this history and they made that movie. All right. Let's start at verse 27. I think we're at. Let's start there again.
We're at 29. You want to read the 28 over again?
Yeah, let's read.
Or 27.
Let's read 27 and 28 again.
Simon also built a monument upon the sepulchre of his father and his brethren, and raised it aloft to the site with hewn stone behind and before. Moreover, he set up 7 pyramids, one against another, for his father and his mother and his 4 brothers. And in these he made cunning devices, about the which he set great pillars, and upon the pillars he made all the armor for perpetual memory, and by the armor ships carved, that they might be seen of all that sail on the sea.
So what do you think it means when he said he made cunning devices?
He built traps.
That's right. He built booby traps inside of the
pyramids.
Of the pyramids. There's all these cunning devices of traps. So if you try to go in there and steal the body of his family members, you get crushed by a rock or get stabbed in the head, or he made cunning devices inside of it. Was booby traps inside of here. These were you have to understand how great these men were. The Maccabees, the Hasmonean dynasty, these were great, notable men. These were some heavy hitters right here. No doubt they were buried with much treasure and things like that. These were kings. These were kings. These Levites, they were kings. So this is why he was building the monuments for them like this. Or where are we at? We are on what verse we at now?
30.
Okay, read on.
This is the sepulchre which he made at Modin, and it standeth yet unto this day. Now Tryphon dealt deceitfully with the young king Antiochus, and slew him. And he reigned in his stead, and crowned himself king of Asia, and brought a great calamity upon the land. Then Simon built up the strongholds in Judea, and fenced them about with high towers, and great walls, and gates, and bars, and laid up victuals therein.
So he built up towers in every section. Wherever they went, he built up strongholds and towers in there and put food reserves in at different places and was changing soldiers in and out of them. This is how he kept the land protected. So there wasn't necessarily garrisons or barracks, but he was building towers. He built the towers, and he would have men inside the towers. So when you see an army coming afar off, they would light the tower and they would alert that tower down on the other end, and that tower would alert that tower down on the other end. And that way the armies could quickly gather themselves together and come to the defense of wherever they needed to be for fighting. He also put food reserves in there so the men didn't have to leave. He put resources already in there. You don't have to leave. This is where you stayed until you changed out, whatever that time frame was. Whether it was a month time or 3 months time, he put victuals in there, food in there, and then they would change them out as they would go in and out of there. That way, it was always someone on watch for the city. Always. Where we at?
34.
Okay, read on.
Moreover, Simon chose men, and sent to King Demetrius, to the end he should give the land an immunity, because all that Tryphon did was to spoil. Unto whom King Demetrius answered and wrote after this manner: King Demetrius unto Simon the high priest, and friend of kings, as also unto the elders and the nations of the Jews, sendeth greeting. The golden crown and the scarlet robe which he sent unto us we have received, and we are ready to make a steadfast peace with you. Yeah, and to write unto our officers, to confirm the immunities which we have granted. And whatsoever covenants we have made with you shall stand, and the strongholds which you have builded shall be your own.
Mm-hmm.
As for any oversight or fault committed unto this day, we forgive it, and the crown tax also, which ye owe us. And if there were any other tribute paid in Jerusalem, it shall no more be paid.
So all the Jerusalem's debt was paid. This was Simon did. He made alliances with the right people, and he didn't owe any the Grecians, the Greeks, no more tax. No, he said you don't owe anything else. You owe no more money. Come on.
And look who are meet among you to be in our court. Let then be enrolled, and let there be peace betwixt us.
Mm-hmm.
Thus the yoke of the heathen was taken away from Israel in the 170th year. Then the people of Israel began to write in their instruments and contracts in the first year of Simon the high priest, the governor and leader of the Jews.
Come on.
In those days, Simon camped against Gaza and besieged it round about. He made also an engine of war and set
He made what?
Engine of war.
He
I haven't heard anything you said.
Bishop, we still on?
Did Keith fall out?
I think he
I
did.
still see him in here.
No, we couldn't hear you, Bishop.
We couldn't hear you.
Oh, you couldn't hear me?
No. Never
Okay,
heard.
let's or let's go back to 43.
In those days, Simon camped against Gaza and besieged it round about. He made also an engine of war and set it by the city and battered a certain tower and took it.
So this is the engine of war here. If you're looking at the screen, this is the engine of war here, and this is how they siege the towers. So this what he would do. He would make engines of war like this. He would put and store victuals, food, water. This is what they used the bathroom in this thing, everything. They lived in this thing. And it was movable. It was movable. And they would use it and siege against the Grecians. This when it was at war. This was the Grecians were still had a stronghold in Gaza, and they kicked them out of there by inventing engines of war. That's why Mattathias says Simon was a man of counsel. He was very wise, very crafty, very good engineer. He knew how to build things, instruments, and things like weapons of war and things like that. Read on.
And they that were in the engine leaped into the city.
There was what? There was what?
And they that were in the engine.
They were living. They were in there. They were in there. They leaped into the city. He made it so big and so that it was over the wall. And just as you see it, it had ladders and things that would come out of it, and they would leap down over the wall. I don't know if anybody's seen this other series. It was called the Viking series. It's called the Viking series, and they would use instruments of war for all of their raids. But a lot of the stuff that you see that's attributed to other people is really the Israelites that invented them. The Israelites invented them. All right, let's read on.
And they that were in the engine leaped into the city, whereupon there was great uproar in the city. So much as the people of the city rent their clothes and climbed upon the wall with their wives and children and cried with a loud voice, beseeching Simon to grant them peace. And they said, deal not with us according to our wickedness, but according to thy mercy. So Simon was appeased toward them and fought no more against them, but put them out of the city and cleansed the houses wherein the idols were, and so entered into it with songs and thanksgiving. Yet he put all uncleanness out of it, and placed such men there as would keep the law, and made it stronger than it was before, and built therein the dwelling place for himself. They also of the tower in Jerusalem were kept so straight that they could neither come forth, nor go into the country, nor buy, nor sell. Wherefore they were in great distress for want of victuals, and a great number of them perished through famine.
So he sees them. He sees them to the point where they couldn't come and go. So he starved them out. Now later on, this happened to us by the Romans. So they learned. They learned our methods and used it against us. But we were the first one that did it to them. We starved them out. We starved them out of our land. They couldn't get beyond us. They couldn't get any resources. Come on.
Then cried they to Simon, beseeching him to be at one with them, which things he granted them. And when he had put them out from thence, he cleansed the tower from pollutions,
Mhm.
and entered into it the 23rd day of the second month, in the 171st year, with
Mhm.
thanks and branches of palm trees, and with harps and cymbals, and with viols and hymns and songs, because there was destroyed a great enemy out of Israel.
Come on.
He ordained also that the day should be kept every year with gladness. Moreover,
Mhm.
of the temple that was by the tower, he made stronger than it was. And there he dwelt himself with his company.
Mhm.
And when Simon saw that John, his son, was a valiant man, he made him captain of all hosts. And he dwelt in Gezerah.
And he don't, because they're all praises to the Most High. This has been the history and the observance of our dear brother Simon, called Maccabees of the Hasmonean dynasty. And I hope this has increased your understanding and your knowledge about why we memorialize and keep the day of Simon. All praises to the Most High. So at this time, we will open up the floor for any questions.